Well, not an ideal way for the Rams season to come to an end. They lose to the Philadelphia Eagles at Lincoln Financial Field. We're going to get into the game and really some things that I noticed throughout the game. And moving forward, what the Rams are going to do in this offseason. A lot of moving parts. We're going to talk all about it here on today's episode of the Rams Digest. I'm your host, Josh Wahidon. If you're not subscribed to the channel, do me a favor and press that subscribe button, as 82.6% of you guys still are not subscribed to the channel. You're watching the videos, but you're not subscribed to the channel. So do me a favor and press that subscribe button so you don't miss any daily Rams content here at the Rams Digest, usually daily. Last couple of days, I apologize, had some audio technical difficulties, and I was trying to get them fixed, but I really couldn't figure it out. I have this. I'm still don't have my audio fixed, but if I sound normal, it's because I have my laptop literally next to me recording my audio while I'm over here recording the video on my actual desktop computer. So a whole lot of moving parts here. So I apologize for not the daily Rams content last couple of days, but daily Rams content from here and moving forward. We have a whole lot of offseason to talk about. Not that anyone wants to get excited right immediately after the postgame about offseason stuff, but I'm just letting you know we're going to be here. So subscribe to the channel so you don't miss any of those daily Rams videos. So tough pill to swallow, right? And I think there's a lot we can say here, right? I think at the beginning of the season, if you would have said going into the season, you know what, guys, the Rams are going to lose in the divisional round of the playoffs this year. I think some Rams fans would have been like, okay, cool, that's not a tough pill to swallow, right? It's a little bitty Advil or whatever, right? A little placebo, nothing. There's nothing. I can swallow that pill, no problem, right? Especially if you're talking about week 1, week 2, week 5. If I would have told you when the Rams were 1-4 that the Rams were going to lose in the divisional round, you would have said like, okay, I'll take it. Let's see what happens. See how we get there, right? Let's watch the rest of the season so we can see how we get to that point. Not really a tough pill to swallow from that perspective, but it is a tough pill to swallow because the Rams, when you were 1-4, you were sitting there talking about trading your quarterback. You were sitting there talking about, and that was a small rumor, right? Not really trading him, but a small rumor about maybe Rams fans spreading around, right? Hey, maybe we should look into calling up Minnesota, giving them our quarterback so we can get some draft picks, right? Maybe we should look into trading Cooper Kupp. He's still showing flashes. He's still playing pretty well when he's healthy. Let's maybe trade him now so we can kind of get some value from him because he's getting toward the end of his career. That's where we were at some point this year. Let's not forget. Let's put that in perspective, right? And we'll talk about the positives of the season later in the episode. But for now, it's a tough pill to swallow because the Rams went from 1-4 to then fighting through, battling through, making the playoffs, all of a sudden beating the Minnesota Vikings, 9 sacks with your rookies on defense and a young defense and an older offense, right? All exciting stuff, and it becomes a tougher pill to swallow because the rest of the league started noticing. The rest of the league started saying this team could go to the Super Bowl. The rest of the league started saying, the national media started saying, hey, maybe we got to watch out for the Rams. And so that was why we got on such a high that, hey, maybe this can actually happen, and for all to come crumbling down in this fashion due to the weather heavily being involved, right? It's just a tough pill to swallow, especially with the Rams. At some point when the game's 28-15, you think the game's over, and then all of a sudden you have this incredible, what seems like an incredible comeback, or it's about to be an incredible comeback that we're about to witness, and then for it to fall short on such a couple of mistakes here and there, it's really, really a tough pill to swallow. So I understand where all the Rams fans are at. It was a rough watch at the end there, but ultimately the Rams fought hard all year long, and we'll talk all about that later in the episode. But first, let's talk about this. 28-22 was your final score. Rams lose to the Philadelphia Eagles, fought till the final whistle. I agree with the with a Twitter post here from the Rams NFL. So, yeah, they did. They fought hard to the end, and as they always do. I think a couple frustrating things. It's always frustrating to me, and it's not just the Rams. Like, every team does this. It's like you're not scoring, you're not moving the ball, you can't do this, you can't do that, and you're trying to run the ball up the middle, and it's just not working, and over again, you keep doing the same thing, 3 and out, punt, right, all day, once the Rams hit 15. Fumbling the ball a couple times and all that. And then all of a sudden, you're down 28-15, and you just are marching the ball down the field like it's nothing. And really, they weren't even throwing the ball down the field that much before that the score was 28-15. So it's a little frustrating when things like that happen, but I think we do have to also acknowledge that, the defense probably lets up a little bit. They get up 28-15. They want to maybe just keep the offense in front of them, and they change their game plan, things like that. So that's always an effect. But it was just frustrating to watch. The Rams couldn't move the ball. It really felt like it was such a difficult thing for the Rams to get 1 yard, right? 2 yards, 3 yards, especially in the run game in that second half. Yet the Eagles, they get the ball and second half again, fourth quarter specifically, they just are kind of marching down the field, especially with Saquon Barkley. I mean, a couple huge runs, who we'll talk about in a bit, but overall, just really, really tough to watch, But you got to give them the credit. They fought hard. Matthew Stafford did what he had to do, right? Marches us down the field, gives us that hope. The defense responds, right? That was incredible to watch. And then the Rams almost finish it. And it goes back to maybe that the reality of the Rams team catching up to them, right? Young defense. Young team in general in some areas, and an old team in general in some areas, right? Cooper Kupp still not looking the same. Kyren Williams, that offensive line, just not really holding up against this tough Philadelphia defense, and it was really difficult, right? Matthew Stafford was pressured all game long, and Kyren Williams, it felt like, especially toward the second half there, he really just couldn't even get anything on the ground, it felt like. And so that was kind of difficult, right? And then the rookie center, right, Bo Limmer, not to blame him for the loss, but he gives up that big sack in a moment where you just can't take a sack. And it was just nothing Stafford could do. A small mistake from Bo Limmer, and that's just what happens, right? So that stuff starts to catch up to you, and that was really, really tough. But, give Rams a little bit of credit. That was a nice battle, and it was exciting. And Puka Nacua with the incredible catch, showing what he does, to everybody. Just to remind everybody how great of a season this has been for the Rams with them showing their flashes of what they can do. But the reality, what did I say pregame, right? The other day, a couple videos ago, I told everybody, I said, there's two things you can't do. And one of the things you can't do is allow the Eagles to score over 20, 21 points. The reason why is because it seems like your offense really can't get past 20, 22 points a game. On a good day, I said the Rams offense can score 24 to 25 points a game. But if you get any higher than that, it's really tough for this offense to score that much. At least it's what it seems like. And sure enough, the Rams lose, only scoring 22 points. And the other thing I said we can't do is this, right? First, let's obviously losing twice. The Eagles poking some fun at this loss here. I just want to acknowledge it because, one, I want to frustrate everybody who's watching this, I guess. No, but two, I really want to say it happened twice. It happened to you twice, right? Yes, the Eagles scored 37 points last time around, but the Rams scored 20. Versus Eagles first time around at SoFi Stadium. Even snow, no snow, doesn't matter. You only scored 20, right? And then now this game, you scored 22, right? It's very difficult for the Rams to get to that 30 points per game mark versus any team in the last few weeks, especially versus Eagles. It seems like the Eagles knew how to slow this Rams offense down for the most part. And I said this as well, too, right? Looking at the general stats, and we'll pull these up in a second, but I said that looked like a good game last time around versus the Eagles, right? Matthew Stafford had 2 touchdowns, over 200 passing yards. Kyren Williams, 16 carries, over 70 rushing yards, rushing touchdown. Puka Nacua, 9 receptions, over 100 receiving yards. And that was kind of almost similar to what the stats looked like this time around. So the same exact thing almost it felt like happened. And what I mean by same exact thing happened, the one thing I said that we can't let happen is this, as everybody already knew this, but you can't let this happen again. I said, you can't let Saquon Barkley go for 255 again. Okay, he doesn't go for 255. No, instead, he goes for the 5th most rushing yards in a playoff game in NFL history. 26 carries for Saquon Barkley, 205 rushing yards, 2 rushing touchdowns. And I said this as well the last episode where I was talking about the run game. I said, the difficult part for the Rams is I just don't think, and I even talked about it on the broadcast, the Rams are just a little thinner body-wise, weight-wise on the defensive line, right? They are a great pass rush, right? Even Braden Fisk, even though he's a bigger guy, Braden Fisk is good in the pass rush. Jared Verse, smaller kind of edge rusher, but he's still pretty good on the pass rush, right? Kobe Turner, a little bit of a smaller defensive tackle, right? Maybe more of a pass rushing D tackle who can stop the run a little bit. He's more of a thinner guy, right? Lighter guy. Versus this huge, I mean, the offensive line for the Philadelphia Eagles, I didn't realize until this game really, they are huge on that defensive line. And so, on the offensive line. And so, it was very difficult to slow the run down for the Rams in general. Now you're talking about one of the best rushing attacks in the league, if not the best, right next to the Baltimore Ravens and the Philadelphia Eagles. It was going to be a battle. It was going to be tough to stop. Frustrating part is, Chris Shula, what are you doing, right? We talked about that one high safety and maybe not having that, lineup when you're playing Saquon Barkley, and yet a couple times it was done, and a couple times Saquon Barkley really made the Rams pay for it. And I think you want to mix it up as a defense coordinator, all that good stuff, but tough to see 2, not just 1, 2 huge runs from Saquon Barkley that really kind of breaks the defense's heart a little bit. And then on top of that, you have 2 fumbles that are recovered by the Eagles toward the end there. That's just a lot of things that are difficult to overcome. On top of you being an LA team playing in the snow, on top of the fact that you're in the snow, you're in Philadelphia, right? The Philadelphia fans being the way they are, it's ultimately it was a whole lot for the Rams to overcome. And that's why I'm kind of proud of the Rams for doing what they did by only losing 28-22, really having a really good chance to finish the game with the W. It was really a hard-fought game for them, because especially on the defensive side of the ball, right? Because yes, Hurts, banged up his knee a little bit, but after that, once he banged up his knee, not that they were rooting for injuries, but once they acknowledged that and they were able to keep him contained a little bit more, it was easy for them to put pressure on him, and they are in turn able to put pressure and slow down Saquon Barkley, especially we're talking about the fourth quarter here. So that was positive for sure. Again, never rooting for injuries for Jalen Hurts, but it did slow him down, and the Rams were able to at least slow down that offense, even though there was 2 fumbles, right? And the 2 fumble recoveries from Philadelphia, and then just a poor execution in general on offense at times, right? And so, yeah, overall, a lot of things to overcome for the Rams. So the fact that they even had a chance at the end there was a little surprising and exciting, but they fall short ultimately, and definitely, again, a tough pill to swallow. Let's go into the game leaders here. Again, eerily similar to last game, right? Last time I said Jalen Hurts, right? Not that he can't throw the football, but 170 passing yards. Maybe you want to force him to throw a little bit more. The Rams didn't really do that, right? He's allowed to only go for 128 passing yards, and still no touchdowns. He had a big rushing touchdown, but no passing touchdowns, and still Jalen Hurts is able to win the football game, right? That's one of those things you kind of want to force him to throw the ball. Not that he can't throw, just that seems to be what you want to do to slow him down at least a little bit more than what the Rams were able to today. Saquon Barkley, can't let it happen. 205 rushing yards, just talked about that. 2 rushing touchdowns. Dallas Goedert, 4 receptions. So eerily similar on the Rams side of things, though. Over 250 passing yards last time, I think it was, versus the Eagles. He goes for 324 passing yards this time around. 2 passing touchdowns, same as last time versus Philly. 19 carries. It was 16 carries last time. 106 yards. Kyren had even a better game this time around. And it's funny, it felt like he wasn't having a good game most of the game, right? Very, very tough to get yardage in the second half rushing the ball, yet he had still over 100 rushing yards, and it was just difficult at times. I'm surprised he went over 100, to be honest with you. Puka Nacua, 6 receptions, not the best of games from Puka, 97 receiving yards, so maybe that's one big difference you can notice and say that's a big takeaway that we have to acknowledge. Puka wasn't really able to be who Puka Nacua really is on a weekly basis that we've seen when the Rams were succeeding all the last few weeks. So, a lot of differences there in that sense, but again, very eerily similar in terms of the stats that I was saying. That you probably look at these stats and you probably say on paper the Rams should have won. Kind of similar here. I think on paper the Rams should have won. Maybe too many passing attempts, I guess, from Stafford. Again, funny. I thought maybe Stafford should have threw the ball a little bit more in the second half, especially that third quarter, right? So, overall, just kind of one of those things, man. Just a tough game to lose. We'll pull these team stats up here because I thought these were interesting as well. 402 total yards for the Rams. So they outgained the Eagles in total yardage. They outgained them in passing yards. Obviously didn't outgain them in rushing yards. 285 total rushing yards for the Eagles. Ugly numbers for the Rams defense on the rushing game. They have to figure that out next season for sure. Yards per play, about the same for both teams. Third down conversions, okay, about the same, pretty close. Fourth down efficiency, about the same. 100%, 50% is a difference, of course, but 1 for 2, 1 of 1. Total plays, right time of possession, close, almost evenly matched. Fumbles lost is big time for the Rams. Penalties were pretty even. If sacks allowed, pretty even. Shout out to that Rams defense, by the way, sacking Jalen Hurts. I said this the other episode as well. I said, we don't expect the Rams to get 9 sacks. Well, they get 7. I mean, the Rams defense still did what they had to do. Pretty good in terms of the total numbers, but ultimately, again, just not enough. It's a weird thing when you're looking at the raw data compared to what we saw on the field, right? It's kind of interesting perspective to kind of take a look at. That's why you don't always just look at the numbers, right, when you're talking about football. There's a lot more that's involved in that sense. So, silver lining, right, of this game. I know you guys don't want to just hear me, beat up the Rams for not really winning this game, right? The silver lining is this team played hard. This team fought hard. All right, there was a question about a lot of Rams fans I've seen again since the beginning of the season, since we started this channel and making videos. A lot of Rams fans saying, "No, Sean McVay sucks. Get him out of here. We need a new offense. We need a new OC. We need a more creative offense. Blah blah whatever." What are we talking about? you found your head coach, and we've known this already. That's why he's been the head coach since 2017. But you have your head coach. As long as Sean McVay wants to keep the headset on, again, he almost turned down quite a bit of money to go into the booth and talk as a media personality. If Sean McVay still has the passion to be a head coach in the NFL, you really, really want him to be your head coach. He is, and he showed the rest of the league that he is one of the best, if not the best, head coaches in the NFL, because he takes whatever you give him, and he makes it work for the most part. Again, of course, you need to have good players to win in the NFL, but Sean McVay makes whatever you give him work for the most part. This year, I think he showed it. This was a young defense that outperformed all year long. Sean McVay is your head coach. Stop asking those questions. He is your head coach. Matthew Stafford, it's probably time to move on for Matthew Stafford. If you want to have a nice kind of, let him decide when he wants to finish kind of end to his career, fine, but you have to start looking for that next quarterback. Whether that's, we talked about a couple episodes ago, I don't really like it, but trading for J.J. McCarthy, trading for a young quarterback, maybe a Justin Fields, right type quarterback, and not that he's going to be the future of the Rams. I'm just thinking about names off the top of my head, okay? Think about a quarterback you like, right? Maybe that guy. Maybe it's that guy. You find a young quarterback, you can maybe kind of redshirt, kind of keep him on the bench while Matthew Stafford kind of finishes out his career, if he still wants to finish his career as a Ram. Go for it. Do what you want to do. But at some point, very, very soon, you got to start looking toward the future and replacing your quarterback. At some point, toward the very, very near future, you got to move on from Cooper Kupp. I mean, he just didn't really look the same toward the end of his career, toward the end of his this season. And I think his age is showing. I think he's getting older. He's an older player. I mean, I'm not trying to, say Cooper Kupp's going to retire. He still had some moments, still had some flashes, still made some plays for the Rams this year. I think if he wants the same thing, such a Rams legend, that if he wants to decide to retire a Ram, let him retire a Ram, and kind of figure that out as we go with that. But ultimately, you're moving forward toward the future, building up this offensive line a little bit better, beefing up the defensive line a little bit more, right? Of course, there's some depth in the D-line, but we just need some run stopping, big guys down low at the defensive end or defensive tackle position, right? Someone who can really slow down and stop the run, and the linebackers as well. Some guys who are just a little more positioned to stop the run, slow the run down. That's kind of something you want to move forward to. But rebuilding this roster, right? Seeing what you have now, seeing that the Rams are in a place where they're young. They want to start moving toward the younger direction, but they do have a lot of talent where we can start competing pretty soon if you find the right pieces sooner rather than later, right? And that's kind of the goal for the Rams. And also, last bit of thing we'll pull up here. The Rams, they got the draft to look at, right? Let's look at some draft picks, and let's start drafting and draft well sooner rather than later. We'll dive into the NFL draft on this channel. I want to get into it for sure. One of my favorite times of year to really break down draft picks and potential players to look at. So the Rams officially have the 26th pick in the draft for the 2025 NFL draft. So we're going to be excited to talk all about who the player can be that they draft at the 26th pick this year. Moving forward for the future, what can we do to improve this roster and get back to competing for a Super Bowl? That's going to do it for me on today's episode of the Rams Digest. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel if you're not subscribed already. I'm your host, Josh Giron, and I am out.